Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's Vin PF and this is my series on American whiskey. This is episode number 2 and this week we'll be covering the Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Last week we covered the Four Roses small batch and this is something of a similar vein. Obviously it is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon, but this one has a higher rye content. If you watched the previous episode I went into a little bit of detail about the kind of mash bills and things like that. As we kind of know, the main thing about bourbon is it has to be 51% corn and above. This one meets that, but it's just a higher rye content for that last 49%. Probably a touch of malted barley in there just to get the thing going. Now, this is the 80 proof and the new style packaging, which has artfully aged written on it instead of the 8-year age statement that I think you used to get in the US. And this was given to me by a friend who bought the bottle. It's got a nice bottle with some paper overlay on it. It's quite fancy. In the UK it retails for £35–36 and it's a fairly reasonable price. It's a little bit pricey if you're used to your kind of basic scotches, your basic bourbons, but it's well worth the effort if you're looking to branch out of those things. Now, I know my US watchers will probably be well versed in this, so please do bear with me. But for the UK guys, you probably don't even see this on your shelves. You'll have to go to a specialist or order online. Master of Malt has it, and there'll be a link somewhere below where you can have a look to see if you fancy buying a bottle. So onto the whiskey itself. Whiskey with an E, because we're talking about Americans. And if you watched the previous episode, I was talking about kind of corn influence. And you really can tell the difference with the rye. This is not a rye whiskey where they have 51 or more % rye, but it's a rye bourbon, and that kind of last little bit really does tell. It's a lot spicier on the nose. I always detect a touch of kind of mint. I think I was quoted it saying mouthwash once, and that was for a Rebel Yell. I can't remember which one of the three. There's a video that you can have a look at to see which one I said, but I do remember it smelling a lot like my mouthwash, which does contain a high amount of ethanol. Let's have a taste and see what we get. So, it's nice and smooth, as you kind of expect from a reasonably aged bourbon. The bourbons themselves, they age a lot quicker than Scotch, because Kentucky's a nice, warm, humid place. If the barrels are placed right, if the higher they are, blah blah blah, they can age quite quickly. And they've got a long-standing history of kind of excellent master distillers who know their stuff. They know which barrels are ready and when they're ready. So what comes out is rather smooth. But that rye really does pack a zing. It's got a lot of spice on the end, a little bit of power. It's not as bad as the kind of straight ryes that you can try. And if you've tried them, you'll know. They're good, but they're very harsh and very raspy. Much like the Scotch Islay brands, they're not for everybody, that's for sure. And if you really try hard, you can pick through the kind of harshness and for the bourbon and the smokiness for the Islas and see the subtleties underneath. But this one you don't have to. It's a good inroad into that kind of subsect of American whiskey. Not as much of that peppermint as you get on the nose, to be fair. There's a small amount of it, and that works for its favour, because too much of that does give it that kind of mouthwash feel. And in the UK, when you're paying more than £30 for a bottle, you're expecting kind of, maybe not mid-shelf, but mid to low shelf kind of level. Certainly not your kind of base things, but that's when things start getting expensive and start getting aged. And you expect a little bit more for your money when you go over the £30–35 mark. There you go. I think it's a pretty good dram. I know people give it a bit of a slating, but especially in the UK, because it's one of those fancy packagings with a bit of extra money rolled in. I did a review on the Crown Royal Canadian, which is brutal for that, because it's just over £30 and it's got all this fancy stuff, and it's okay, it's passable, you know. It's a mixing whiskey, but it's not that good to have a fancy bottle and a high, you know, £30 price tag for that kind of thing. And it's just a bit kind of misrepresented in the UK, I think, and I don't think it'll do that well at that price. But I think, you know, the Basil Haydens could do well at that price. Let me know what that comes to in America in the comments. I'd love to know, because I think it's probably a bit cheaper than that, but who can tell? Well, there you go. That's the Basil Hayden's review. Nice and quick one today. If you want to see one of these ones first, then, you know, have a look at my initial trailer video and see which ones are around, and do let me know which order you want me to do these in, because I'm going to kind of do it at random. But, you know, as I said before on previous videos, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a new video every Thursday and perhaps every Monday as well, trying to get these done in a timely manner. I've got 11 to get through, and I want to get through them quicker than 11 weeks for you guys, because it's, you know, the same thing over and over again, really. But yeah, let me know which ones you want me to do next. Alright, I'll see you on the next review. Cheers, guys.